We're dancing to the music. Hey guys, everybody come in and get comfortable. We've got a great topic for you today. Come on in. And I hope this thumbnail is like, oh my gosh, I have to watch this and find out what they're talking about. It's so bright. Would they know what to do? Would they know what to do? What in the world are we talking about? All right, I see some people coming in. So welcome, guys, to this episode of PEPTalk, Productive Environment Podcast. And this is going to be a really, really good one. So everybody get settled in and pay close attention. I am super excited to have our guest here today, Maureen Kures. Am I saying that right? I should have asked you that before. Kures. Kures. Is it Kures?
Kures.
Oh. I've known you for at least 2 years now, and I didn't never ask you that before. So, Maureen Kures. And we are going to have a very interesting conversation. Let me go ahead and, Eds, can you go? I've got this screen pulled down. So if you can remove that image and then bring us on. Good. Now, Maureen and I are having coffee. We're just chilling, having a conversation. And you guys are here with us. So this is going to be a really good conversation. So Maureen, first of all, I am this Andrea Anderson. I'm the CEO of Productive Environment Institute here in Carolina Beach, North Carolina. And I'm joined by Maureen, who is where, Maureen?
I am based out of Bellevue, Washington, a suburb of Seattle. And right now I happen to be in Vancouver, Washington, just north of Portland, Oregon.
Awesome. So out there, out
on the West Coast, the Pacific West.
Out west. So it's morning for you. It's 9 a.m. for you, right?
Okay. It is.
Yeah. So guys, let me ask you this question and then I'll tell you about why Maureen is here and why we're having this conversation. So we've done topics before with getting your stuff together, right? That's what we're about, organizing, productivity, decision making is huge, huge key for what we teach. And we talk about end-of-life planning, and it's not about if it's going to happen for all of us, it's when and it's going to happen, right? And it's things that we may not want to talk about. And I met Maureen, it's been at least 2 years, I think, Maureen, at least 2 years.
It has.
Right?
I think we're going into year 3.
Yeah, I think so. And so Maureen is one of our SOAR members, our SOAR Systemize and Organize with Action and Reference program. So she's very organized and very, well, you are, Maureen. We're all a work in progress.
Always my lifelong journey.
That's right. We're always a work in progress. But I was introduced to Maureen as she was introduced to me as a death doula. Okay. This is Maureen. And she's a death doula. And I was like, what in the world is a death doula? And that was kind of scary. And then you softened it a little bit. It's an end-of-life doula. And I still didn't really get it. And so I'm just literally going to ask you today, and look at your business name. Guys, y'all see your business name? Radiant Mourning. And it's spelled Mourning. So I'm so fascinated by you and by this topic. So let's start there. If you could just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what exactly is a death doula or an end-of-life doula.
Oh, I would love to. Andrea, like you, when I first heard the term death doula, I met this woman and she said, I'm a death doula. And I said, okay, I've been a hospice nurse. I have no idea what a death doula is. A death doula is a non-medical person that works with someone that is either planning their end of life, planning to get everything in order for their end of life, but they work all the way through. It's practical, it's emotional, it's spiritual work. It's not medical. So they're there with all the way through the journey, ideally, with the family from maybe the time of a diagnosis, meeting every couple months, but building that trust and familiarity with the person to all the way through end of life, when they're living their last final days, hours, moments, being there with the family, helping them know how to be present, how to, do vigiling, and being with that person as they are living their last moments of life. And I always say it's easier for non-medical people to be an end-of-life doula because they don't have to take off the medical hat. Like for me as a nurse, I would always have to be like, wait, I know how to do the medical aspect of this, but I'm not here for that. I need to be here in a non-medical role. But I like the term end of life better because that encompasses everything from, hey, you hit 50, let's start planning.
Oh gosh.
You should start planning when you're 18.
Should we? I mean, really? Should we?
Yeah, because, bad things happen to 18-year-olds and 18-year-olds die too. Yeah. And at 18, someone becomes a legal adult and parents don't always have access. If something happened, I always encourage everyone having children going off to college to get their advanced directives done, just so that that parent or whoever they choose can be there to make medical decisions or to talk to the doctors. I've worked with people and known people that something happened to their child and they couldn't get information until they got on a plane and flew there. Wow. So we don't think of that. We don't think that things can happen to 18, 20, 21 years.
Yeah. And that reminded me how I met you through Anne.
Anne Cueva, yes.
Yeah. She had that happen. Her 17-year-old son passed away unexpectedly, inexplicably, unexplainably. I don't know if I'm saying the right word, but yeah.
Yeah. It's usually with young people, it's either something tragic, like a bad accident. It could be, an undetected heart issue, medical issue. It could be a suicide attempt. It could be a drug overdose where they can't make their own decisions, but then there's a whole next of kin hierarchy, but oftentimes the healthcare providers won't talk to the families until they absolutely know.
Okay. So I want to go, Eds, if you'll go ahead and put up the link to Maureen's advanced directive checklist. There's no opt-in for this, guy, so you can just go to this site. We're going to put it up again at the end. So if you're not in a place where you can grab it now, but she has a checklist that she's given you. You don't have to enter your name and email address or anything at this point. At the time of recording, that could change later. But as of right now, if you go to Radiant Mourning, spelled mourning.com/contact, there's a little bitty button at the bottom of that page that says checklist. I think that's what it says, right? And that is an advanced directive checklist so you're saying everybody should have that, not just
everyone over 18, but definitely as we age or if we get a life-limiting diagnosis, a chronic diagnosis, that's when we're given the gift of time to get the work done. But only about 10% of Americans have advanced directives done. Like 90% no, but only about 10% actually have done the work.
Wow. Okay. So that's just mind-boggling. And we're gonna talk about, you guys will get some resources. We'll share where you can get some resources, and that's a great place to start. And Maureen's website is a great place to start too. And you help people all over, so they don't have to live in Washington. They don't have to live where you live.
No.
Okay. So if somebody has
virtually.
You work virtually. Okay, that's really good to know. And I mean, I don't know how many of you that are watching this have ever heard of such a role. I had not until I met Maureen. So, and then of course I thought, oh, that's just forgive me, y'all, I'm 56, so I can say that. I would say, oh, that's just for old people. Well, now I'm that old person. So I used to think that, like, anything about end of life planning, like, that's not for me. I'm only whatever. And now I'm in that age group. So anyway, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
So my first role as a nurse was an oncology nurse. And so I saw majority of people are older, but people of all ages get cancer. And so it really opened my eyes and to the need. Well, back when I first started, they didn't have anything called an advanced directive. So
right. Okay.
It wasn't until the 90s that those came into play.
Okay.
And I'm so old that I started in the 80s as a nurse.
I was in high school. Graduated in 88. Okay. Wow. So we are going to talk about some resources, but what I really want to talk about with Maureen is I want to know the difference between people who prepared in advance, like what you helped them do, versus people that didn't. People like me who wouldn't have even known about this resource. So let me ask you this before we dive into the stories of these people. When do people usually reach out to you? Like, at what point are you getting a phone call or an email saying, I need your help? And from who?
Usually it is after a major, like a life event. Someone had a family member die that was just chaos. And they think, oh my gosh, I don't want that to happen. Or if they've gotten a life-limiting diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when I started my business, I really wanted to work with the sandwich generation woman, thinking, you know, the person that had maybe kids, even college age or young adult kids, but also aging parents. And I thought I wanted to work with me at that time. And what I found was it was the 60 and over people that were starting to think about this and wanting.
That seems natural to me. That makes sense to me.
Yes.
But there are others, 18 and up, basically, that you're saying. That people
yeah. You know, and I don't really work a lot with 18 and up families, but I always want to tell people we don't realize that we might not have access to our kids' information.
Yeah.
Which is shocking to us parents.
Yeah.
You know, like with Anne, her son was 17, so he was still a minor.
Right.
Yeah.
And what she went through in that experience is what drove her. She wrote a book called Grief Without Chaos.
Yes.
Because she had chaos when that happened.
And that's what most people have.
That's what most people have. Yeah. Wow. Now, how? Let me share what Kathy Music said first. Kathy is one of our specialists, New Path Productivity in Chicago area. Such a valuable and heartfelt service you provide, Maureen. It really is. It really is. And we don't realize you even, I mean, I don't know anybody in my area that does that. So let's say, for example, that what happened with Anne. Like, how would she have known that you existed?
Well, back in word of mouth now, and speaking on podcasts and things like that. And, you know, as people use my service, they share it.
Okay.
So a lot of it is word of mouth because, you know, this isn't, let's face it, who wants to really talk about dying?
Exactly.
I just wrapped up. I was a final presenter in a conference last week, and I'm like, okay, I get to wrap it up with speaking of dying, just our favorite topic.
Right.
But so usually it's something happens and someone says, oh, you need to.
Okay. So maybe a spouse gets a diagnosis, and then the other spouse starts doing, and a friend says, hey, you need to reach out to.
Yes. So, or they see me on a podcast. I work with a man in California where he saw me on a podcast that was done in the UK. And he realized I lived on the West Coast. So he reached out. So just those types of things.
Okay, good. So we all need to spread the word that a death doula, an end-of-life doula exists, and specifically Maureen exists.
Yeah, and my thing with end-of-life doula is working on the planning.
Tell us about that. What is, so with the planning, like when we say, like, look at the title, prepared versus unprepared, what does that mean? I would consider most people unprepared, right? Most people. Yeah. What does prepared look like? Yeah.
Prepared means that you have, I call it decided, documented, and discussed. Decided, you know, what you want as life progresses, what you would want. And I always say, base it on your health today. Even if you have a life-limiting diagnosis, it doesn't mean you're going to die tomorrow. So let's look at your health today. What would you want as in terms of medical care? You know, what are your values? What are your experiences with death that were good and bad? So we look at all of that and what values do you want to carry through to the end of your life? So looking at starting with values and your own death experience all the way down to do you want to be on life support? Would you want to or not? And discussing all the different ramifications, let's say, the good and bad. There's good and bad for both, because there's so many things that people don't realize are considered life support. IVs, artificial feedings, hemodialysis, kidney dialysis. It's not just having a ventilator on. So talking through what would it look like, and then all the way down to funeral planning, and beyond, if they want to go beyond. But mostly it's deciding what matters to you. And that's why I say do it every year. Give it to you as your birthday present to yourself, take an hour, and sit down and review everything. But decide who you want to speak on your behalf. That's, if people do nothing else, that's probably the most important thing.
What does that mean? Tell us more about
that. Your healthcare power of attorney.
Okay.
That's the paperwork, is called the healthcare power of attorney document. So it's your decision maker, that's called healthcare decision maker, healthcare surrogate, healthcare agent. There's all different names, but the one person you assign to make healthcare decisions on your behalf if you can't. And that is what led me to do this work, because I saw over and over again where people didn't have that person. So this is part of the decision. And that's why I think if you do nothing else, get that person that you trust to make decisions on your behalf. But there's something called the next of kin hierarchy. So automatically, if you're married, it would fall to your spouse. If not, and you had parents, it would fall to them. If not that, it would fall to, if you have adult children, it would fall to your adult children. But if there's more than one person, they all have to agree. They all have to agree. And the pivotal moment for me was this 63-year-old woman that came into the ICU I was working in. And I admitted her. She was playing tennis in the morning, took her 85-year-old mother to a doctor's appointment, out to lunch, and driving her mom home, had a massive heart attack.
Wow.
And ended up in the ICU on every machine and bell and whistle. And after a couple days, they were trying to wean her sedation, but she didn't wake up. And a brain scan showed that she had no brain activity, but she had 4 children. And even though her mother was living, the 4 children were considered her next of kin. She did not have a husband, and they disagreed on what to do.
Oh no.
And they started fighting, and it was awful. She lived for 6.5 weeks on a ventilator. And they were not allowed to be in the hospital at the same time because they were fighting so badly. And her mom would sit at her bedside crying, saying, I've destroyed this family, because she had pulled her from the car and started CPR as she had seen it on TV. And this was in the mid 90s, and so not everyone had a cell phone glued to their hand. And it was heart-wrenching for everyone involved. And the doctors had encouraged to take her off life support because she had no brain function that could keep her alive. And 2 of the children wanted to, 2 of them didn't. And it was just, in that moment, I had learned of these forms called advanced directives, because they really were developed in the early 90s. I'd never heard of them before, but I thought, oh my gosh, how different this would be if she had one person that could have made that decision, that she had shared her wishes with that one person. And so I started telling all my friends, you need this. You could go to the office supply store and buy these forms for $45.
Oh, wow.
The last 30 years, I've been like shouting that out to people.
Yes, so that's how you got into doing this as a business.
That is about 6 years ago, I left a nursing job.
Okay, let me ask you this. Did it exist already? Did your position or your role, did this exist already, or did you create this?
No, it did exist. There's a group called Respecting Choices out of La Crosse, Wisconsin. And the doctor there that ran a dialysis clinic found that, people don't know that dialysis is the end of the road. Once it stops working, which could be years on dialysis. Dialysis My aunt was on dialysis for 12 years, living a really productive life as long as she planned. She kept traveling and doing stuff. But once they go off dialysis, death occurs usually within a couple weeks. And he realized no one knew about that. So he started making his staff start talking about it. Now it's an international organization teaching people to have these conversations. And so I did one of their training courses through a subsidiary here in the Seattle area.
Okay. So that's how is it a certification? Do you get certified? Yes. You're a certified
in end-of-life planning. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's fascinating. Now, do you work with that organization? Do you, because I feel like you and I talked about this in the past, where you train people to do this.
Right? No, we trained doulas. I was part of a group that trained doulas, end-of-life doulas.
Right.
But I didn't work with the organization that trained people in end-of-life planning. That's something completely different.
So you train, so the end of life planning is different than a doula. End of life
planning. It's part of the doula's role. But doulas can do anything. Like there's some that just want to work at the bedside. And then there's some that want to help them with vigiling, or they want to help them be a patient advocate and go to doctor's appointments with them.
Okay. Or process emotions. You mentioned the emotional
process emotions, yes, and help them do that. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. What's your favorite? What's your favorite part?
Well, I had just started this business, but when I heard about this death doula role, I thought, I want to be with them towards the end, because that's what I loved with my
hospice
patients and their families, is helping the families process all this and be there so they could have those meaningful moments. It's really the most sacred time of life. I think it's very sacred time. That's why I tell doulas when we were training them, gosh, if you can make the family comfortable being there with their person, and they say, we don't need you anymore, that's the greatest gift you've given them, to be in that intimate, sacred time with those that matter most to them. The doula doesn't need to be there at that time. If they are, it's great, to support the family. But really the goal is to make the family completely comfortable.
Right.
So they could have those moments.
Special moments, right? And ideally you will have helped them up to that point. You would have helped them gather their information. And I want to put, go ahead.
No, and get comfortable with being there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll put this in our framework, because I'm thinking like how we work with SOAR, systemize and organize with action and reference. So there are certain, I imagine when you start working with someone, with a family, there are actions that need to be taken, right?
Yes.
And including decisions. Those decisions are actions.
It's deciding, getting the decisions all made. Who do you want to speak on your behalf? What would you want done? Maybe how do you want to be buried? Because there's so many different burial options. And then document it, get it all documented, write it down. And the more that you can put in writing about why you're making the decisions you are, that's the gift you're giving your family. You're giving them that roadmap to follow. And then the documents become the living will. So advanced directive is two things: the power of attorney for healthcare and the living will. It's the power of attorney for healthcare that is legally binding. Most states, it has to be witnessed by two people or notarized. Some states require both. So I always encourage people to check with their state. But the living will is more the roadmap, the guide. To help that decision maker, to help the family members know what they want. Right. So get that all done. Decide, then get it documented.
Decide and document. And what was your third D?
Discuss.
See, those are all actions. If you're in our framework of action and so our framework is the art of organizing information. Is it an action, a reference, which is something to keep for future reference, or a toss? So your three
documents,
actions.
The documents, though,
are the reference.
The reference.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
And that's why I love, with the SOAR board, that we can store those in there and share them with people.
Exactly.
Because one of the things is I tell people, get your documents all in order. Get them legally binding with the notary or the witnesses. They can't be family members that are witnesses.
I read that. I was looking at your checklist, and it actually says that.
And then make copies, share them with everyone that matters most to you, everyone that will be impacted if decisions have to be made.
I want to ask you about that because I saw that on your checklist, and it said share it with everyone, including like right now it says share it with the hospital. So where do they put that? Like,
so hospitals use electronic medical records right now. It would be great if we had a national system where they all talk to each other, but they don't.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
So you should give one to your healthcare providers, especially in primary care, because they will most likely be the one starting the process.
That makes sense. But like, what do you do? Like go into a hospital and be like, hey, could you put this on file for me? Is that really what you do? Wow.
Yes. I encourage people to do that because that would be an action and a reference, right? Yeah. Because go into the admitting office and say, I have this advance directive that I'd like on file here.
That's okay. Wow. And they'll know what you mean. Like they're not going to look at you like.
No, in fact, that's a common question when you're it is a question when you're admitted to the hospital. Do you have advance directives?
Really? Wow. Okay. That's really good.
Yes. So let's say you come in as an emergency and they know your name, but they can easily pull it up if you're local hospital. Yes, we have your advance directives on file.
Wow.
So then they can follow. They know that, your mom is your decision maker, not really, but sorry, Mom. But
hold on. Let me bring her on screen. Hold on, Mom. I have to talk about you for a second. Hold on. I'm going to move my screen up a little bit. So y'all, I have to give my mom credit. Hey, Mommy. Because she has done a lot of this. I feel like we are probably, Mom, maybe see if you agree with me. I feel like we're 75% there. I don't feel 100%. And I'm also realizing with this conversation and other conversations we've had is that we're all focused on mom. Like I have a brother and a sister. We're all focused on mom. But have we shared information about ourselves and each other? We haven't. So I think that's an eye opener for with this conversation. That is not just about mom. It's what if something happened to one of us and she is the decision maker? Okay, what does she think we want to do? Right.
Okay. And now, Marge, don't take offense, but I'm going to tell you why you should not be the decision maker.
Oh, okay.
It's because it's ideally best to get someone that's closer to your age, younger or closer to your age, and
so like to my
or closer to your age, because most likely you will outlive your mom. Right. And so it's best to have someone that could carry on.
Yeah.
And it's always best to have someone local, but you don't need to because we live in this virtual world now.
Yeah.
So I hope you didn't take offense, Marge.
Don't take offense to much.
But yeah, like I worked with someone where their 85-year-old dad who had a lot of health problems was their decision maker. And I said, not the best choice. So let's think about it. Yeah.
Very, very good to know. And I want to give a shout out to Mom because we use in our you mentioned the SOAR board, that we have a tool that we use to implement our methodology, Barbara's methodology of systemize and organize with action and reference. So in Mom's SOAR board, she has already planned. She's put all family information, banking information, medical, who her doctors are, everybody, all that information, and her funeral. She has in there the songs she wants sung at the funeral, the scriptures she wants read at the funeral, pretty much we should say celebration of life.
Yes.
And it's in there, and she was able to share that through the platform that we use. She was able to share that with me. So I have all of that. And if she updates it, I get the update.
Can I just say that that's amazing. You're a rock star, Marge. It's so important. You're giving your children and those who matter most to you that roadmap to follow. I mean, I love to get people to do all of that, the life celebration planning, you know,
Yeah.
because that's how many times have you had a loved one die? I know this just happened to someone I know, and they had no idea. You know, people use pictures now at the life site. They had no idea how to get it, and they were scrambling, and
Mm.
it was so stressful. And instead of just being able to fully grieve, we're going to grieve, but you have all this chaos and stress and
Right.
everything instead of saying, "Oh, look at you,
Uh-huh.
Marge, have everything laid out for them. We're going to go get the pictures. Oh, we have her scripture readings. We have the music,
Mhm.
and we know what she wants." And isn't that the biggest gift?
It is a huge gift.
Yeah.
Huge gift.
I
So
always say planning ahead is one of the kindest gifts you can give to those you
yeah,
love.
yeah,
It,
absolutely.
yeah.
It's amazing. So I want to share Anne's comment here. Anne is also one of our SOAR members. She said, I get my routine lab blood work done at my local hospital, and at check-in, they always ask if I have a medical directive on file. Okay. See, I don't ever get sick and go to the hospital for anything, knock on wood. So I don't know this.
I'm 60.
I'm 56. Give me 4 more years. So, but I don't know this other than going with mom. Mom, do they ask you, like, I'm sure they've asked you at some point about, do they ask you about your medical directive? No?
Asked, but I haven't asked.
Yeah.
But my mind is in such a chaos at that time.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
You don't remember. That's true. That's true. And that's what I was going to say. I'll take you off, Mom, so you can relax a little bit. I'm looking at the time, like I could talk to Maureen all day. But what I think, all that sounds great. Like Mom's prepared and I've got this bullet and everything, but I also have this feeling like if I get a phone call and she, you know, something's happened to her, like, am I going to even know? Am I going to remember? Am I going to panic and go, where is everything?
Do we have time for me to share? Because you wanted to know the chaos. So I talked about the chaos of the woman that was 63. When I first started doing this, I worked with this family. It was just the siblings. 7 kids, highly educated, highly opinionated. And the woman that was the sibling that was the decision maker for her parents came to me and said, could you come and facilitate a conversation? Because she had gone through one of my workshops with my siblings. I'm so afraid that if something happens, it could cause friction or whatever. So we were gathered, just the siblings, talking more about her mom who had dementia. Her dad walked in and said, wait, I need to talk about this. So he really shared what he wanted. A year later, he ends up in the emergency department at the hospital because he was getting confused. He was falling. And it was during COVID, and they wanted to admit him. They found that he had big bleed in water on his fluid on his brain and a wide open heart valve. And they wanted to admit him right away to the ICU, start doing all this stuff. And this woman said, I remembered what you said. Unless it's a real emergency, like an accident or something where they have a big heart attack, there's always time to step back and take a deep breath. And so she got her siblings all in a Zoom call, said, this is what's happening. I know what I want to do, but I just want to hear your opinion. And they said, wait, we heard Dad loud and clear. That's the discussion, that family meeting, coming together and sharing wishes. This is not what he wanted. We think you should bring him home on hospice. They brought him home on hospice. He lived for 9.5 beautiful months, surrounded by family, surrounded by his grandkids in and out. He got to go to a granddaughter's wedding, and he died so peacefully, surrounded by his family, surrounded by love and comfort. And it could have been so different. You know, the woman said, I would have been able to be in his hospital room with him 1 hour a day. And she said, I'm convinced he would have died in there alone. And that's the power of the discussion part. So it's great to have everything in order, but it's so important to discuss with those that matter most to you, your plans. You know, at the end of the day, planning's awesome. It's great. And it's so important, but it's more about making sure the people you know and love, the people you love, know what your wishes are.
And everybody's on the same page.
And so they're not left at the panic, stressing, guessing like the 63.
That's right.
And
So-
more often is the 63-year-old scenario with people in a panic, chaos. They don't want to let go. They don't know what to do. So they keep them alive.
Right. And then the siblings fighting. That's not how your parent they don't want to, because they feel it. They feel that angst between the siblings. So if you joined us late, go back and watch the beginning of this where she talked about a different scenario. So you've got one scenario with the siblings fighting, and you've got another where everybody came together and had that discussion. So what were your 3 Ds again? Decide, document, and discuss. Those are all actions. So those are all things to do. Okay. So if you want to learn more about the SOAR method, systemize and organize with action and reference, the art of organizing information, and this is really important information, then you can check out our workshop. And Ed, if you'll share that, workshop.productiveenvironment.com. That gets you started learning the methodology to do all those things, the art, action, reference, toss. And then if you want Maureen's checklist or to connect with Maureen, go to her website, radiantmourning.com. You can go check out you've got a great video on the front page, I think, that I watched. So, yeah, go watch that video. And then if you want her checklist, go to radiantmourning.com/contact. And there's a little link that says checklist. And that is the advanced directive checklist, right?
Yes.
That's what we're talking about. So definitely check that out. Reach out to Maureen if this is something that you're experiencing right now. Don't wait, right? Like, don't wait till it's too late. Go ahead and make that connection, even if it's not like imminent, like next month or next, right? We can go ahead and make a connection.
Ideally, when it's, ideally it's when you don't have any health issues and you can make decisions. And people always say, oh, it's just so nice to know that that's done in case the what if life happens. What if I'm in that accident as I'm driving to the supermarket? What if I have that heart attack?
Yeah. Yeah. Can we put you in our advanced directive to contact you if something happens to us? Like, Maureen will handle it. She'll know what to do. Awesome. This was great. I could just keep talking to you and keep going, but we got to wrap up, guys. Thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions for Maureen, you can reach out to us directly if you want me to connect you, or if you jotted down her website, you can go there and submit. I think on that contact page, you do have a form where they can put their name and email address, right? Yeah. Where you don't have to put that in to get the checklist, but if you want to connect with Maureen, then go ahead and do that and say, hey, I saw you on PEPTalk. I saw you with PEI. So hold on, we got a comment from Miss Nancy, who's also one of our amazing SOAR members. So thank you, Nancy.
I do know Nancy's very well organized in this arena.
She is, yes. In fact, and Ann too. These guys are like some of our star SOAR members. So I love it. I mean, we're all working on these things together, and you're a really super important piece of that. So I just feel really smart now that I know what a death doula is, an end-of-life doula. So yeah. And you like that better, don't you? Yeah,
I do like that better.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Maureen. I'll definitely have you back. This was great. So thank you for joining us. I'm going to end the stream, guys. Make sure you share this video. Really, this is a really good one to share with people. So share this YouTube video. If you're on YouTube, if you're watching us on Facebook or LinkedIn, we would love for you to go ahead to our YouTube channel. You can just search Productive Environment Institute if you don't know our channel, and subscribe. First of all, subscribe to our channel, and then like this video and share this video with somebody else that could be blessed by it. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.